Hey, I'm Deidre Detterman, host of the Do It My Way podcast, where we empower women business owners and CEOs to do business on their terms with no regrets, hesitation, or fear. I'm obsessed with all things marketing. I started my career in television, and I remember sitting in countless meetings, listening to executives talk about things that needed to change, but they never did. I was always thinking, what if we did it my way? Once I became an entrepreneur and I started living life on my terms, working the hours I want to work, making the money I want to make, I started to feel success. I was finally in control of my destiny. I hope you will join me on this journey discovering how you can do it your way. Hello, it's Deidre Detterman, and it's another episode of the Do It My Way podcast. I am so excited today because I have the most special guest with me. And if you have met her, she's just a ray of sunshine. She always brings energy to every room and just is one of those people that you want to be around all the time. So meet Mia Fleming. Hello.
Do I owe you for that introduction? Like, that was amazing.
Well, it's all very true. So we are so excited to have you today. It's just, you are always, and look at you, look like sunshine today.
Thank you. So do you, friend. I learned from the best.
The whole bright clothes thing is kind of a funny story. Me and I worked together in television for 10 years, actually. Yeah. And I was the one behind the scenes while she was doing the interviews, and I would tell them what to wear. So we would be like, okay, you've got to have your bright clothes, your dark hair, it stands out, you jump off the camera. So I knew today she would show up in her bright clothes.
I mean, I learned from the best. That's what I could say. Because I thought when I first started out in news, you needed to wear black and brown and gray to like be serious and take. And I remember I wore like yellow or something. You were like, Mia. You flew into the newsroom. You're like, Mia, that's it.
That's
I'm
your
like,
color.
Thank you.
Yes,
and you don't know how that really changed my life. Like,
I love
because
that.
it changed how I felt about myself.
Yeah.
I felt good in yellow versus black or a dark color. You know what I mean? And just, you gave me that confidence boost I needed.
I love that. Well, that's your personality. You need to be the one, standing out. So I love that. Well, before we get into the questions and get really into it, I want to first tell you what the Do It My Way podcast is all about.
Yes.
So we empower female CEOs and entrepreneurs to do life on their terms and business on their terms with no regrets, hesitation, or fear. So what does that mean? So for example, we worked together, for 10 years and we did not live life on our terms at that time, right?
Not at all.
We weren't at the stage in our career to do that. So what does that mean? I had to be there at 8:30 in the morning until 5:30, 6:30, maybe 7:30 at night. You were there more than me, right? And they were dictating what we did.
Right.
So think about compensation from the money we made. It wasn't up to us, right?
Right.
You got paid whatever they wanted to pay you.
Right.
And I remember making the company so much money. And that year walking into my boss and talking about raises, and he said, we're going to give you the maximum raise. Like, you are a rock star. You have done so much for us.
I can't wait to hear the number.
Exactly. 3%.
Woohoo!
3%.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay.
What you're thankful for.
Right? Oh, absolutely thankful. But you think,
at the same time,
I start doing the math, and how will I ever get to where I want to go making 3%, being the rock star?
Yes.
Only, not everyone got that. Only certain people got that. And I thought, that's not living life on my terms. And so Do It My Way is not about doing everything my way. But when I started to do things my way and go out and be an entrepreneur, things started to fall in line with me and I started to have success. So it's empowering women to do life on their terms, to do business on their terms. And you're the perfect example to come on with this because you did the same, right? You did the corporate America thing. And don't get me wrong, that's what got me here today.
Right.
Doing all those things that has made me successful with D2 branding and everything I'm doing, but it wasn't doing life on my terms. And you went out and did your thing. And so I can't wait to talk today about, you have a tour coming up, you have all kinds of exciting things. And so we're just so glad to have you here.
I am so glad to be here. Just hearing you talk about, those times when we were at the same station and just the things that you go through to get you to where you are today, it makes my heart so full.
Yeah.
Like, even this moment, it just is so special,
I love
seriously,
it.
to me.
I love that.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm honored to be here.
Yes. Well, I'm going to give a quick little highlight on Mia because I know you have a really great bio. You've done a million things, but these are the things that stood out to me. So, highly captivating TV host, right? Amazing journalist. You've actually won 2 Telly Awards. which is incredible. You're an author of 2 books, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. The founder of Hello Good Life, and you're going on tour this fall.
Yes.
So many exciting things coming up. So give the audience, tell them a little bit about Mia. I know it's hard to put your whole life into like 2 minutes.
Sure.
But just give us a version of who you are and what you're all about.
Absolutely. And I give you full permission to give me like the old anchor rap. You can just be like, Mia, okay, enough. Because, I'll just get talking and I love you so much. But yeah, I'm an Oklahoma girl through and through. Born and raised right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Went to Langston University, got my first internship. After my internship, I knew news was it for me, right? And I'll be honest, I think I always wanted to do TV, right? I want to be the next Oprah. Who doesn't, right?
Exactly.
But in Oklahoma, how do you get on TV? Well, you start with news. So I did my first internship, and I remember my internship was over, and I was like, but I want a job now.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, you're still in school.
Yeah.
And so they were like, the internship is over. And I was like, okay. So I came back every single day, even after my internship was over. Maybe a week later, they hired me. So that's how I got my first job, is I wouldn't stop coming back. They were like, let's give this poor girl a job. What was I thinking, though? My first job in the newsroom was as an assignment editor. So I'd send the crews out to different fires and things like that. And then I finally got the opportunity to become a writer and a producer. And then, I became reporter finally after probably 2 years of begging the news director and giving him, new examples of my work, and every week him being like, nope, not yet. And so then finally got the opportunity to anchor, which I didn't think that I ever wanted to do. I was kind of positively influenced to go into anchoring, surprisingly enough. But I did it and then pitched my own show, got the show. So I did a community affairs show. So I had the best experience, right? I got to report 3 days a week. Then I did the show, the community affairs show. And then I anchored the weekend. So it was such a great mix. And in my hometown, I mean, it was a dream come true, seriously.
You were great at it.
So and then I switched gears a little bit, decided that maybe that wasn't what I wanted to do anymore. I don't know how much I need to go into it. But
no, that's what this is all about. We'll definitely get into that side of what kind of made you say, okay, there's a different path for me.
For sure.
So, well, you have so many exciting things and you've done so many great things. And to see you here today, it makes me really proud.
Yay,
so I love that.
Same.
Well, okay. So I read this quote from you. I was doing some research on this, that you said, when I was honest with myself, I realized that success doesn't always equal fulfillment.
Yeah.
So what does that mean to you?
It was huge, because I think for a lot of us, we look at our career as the only measurement to success. But I think I had an aha moment of my life holistically, right? Like the job, the family, just all of the things, right? And news is a very demanding career. Like you said, there truly 10 to 12 hour days.
Right.
And we're not talking just every now and then, like a lot. If it storms, all the things, you get called in. And I remember kind of already having this feeling of, I'm made to do more.
Yeah.
I like to smile big. I love to hug people, touch people. And sometimes in news, you need to kind of pull back a little bit. Wearing the bright colors is good, but maybe not all of the bright colors at once. And so I felt like I was dimming my light a little bit for this career. Yeah. Right. But I remember one Sunday, I just, done the hair and done the makeup, and I sat in the chair. I used to have the team do a little dance before we do the news, because it's the weekends, right? And you gotta boost morale and make sure everybody's feeling good. And we do that. But I remember having this feeling, this moment of, I was blocking someone's blessing by being in that chair. Someone who really wanted to be a TV news anchor and needed to do that job. I was blocking their blessing. And when I went home and thought about that and reflected on that even more, I realized I was also blocking my own blessings by being in that chair.
Oh, wow.
Had I stayed in that anchor position, I wouldn't be here talking to you right
You're
now.
Right.
You're
right.
Right? I gave myself permission to go ahead and live the life that I felt like I needed to live. And I feel like that's a lot of times what happens to us, and especially as entrepreneurs. You get that little gut feeling. Pay attention to it.
True.
Like, I can't say it enough. Pay attention to it, because it's leading you to your greatness. Every single time.
That's so great.
Every single time.
I love that. Okay, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about mindset, because as an entrepreneur, not every day is a great day. right?
No.
We're going up and down. There's peaks and valleys. And as soon as you have a great day and something happens, the next day something falls apart. And guess what? There's nobody to go to. There's no boss. It's you, right? Everything falls on your shoulders. So talk about mindsets, because I know that's played an important part of your life. And tell me how you control mindset and get through your day, through the ups and downs.
So many things in life, and I know we're going to get to this a little bit later, but infertility taught me about a mindset shift.
Oh, yeah.
Becoming an entrepreneur after corporate, it was a mindset shift, because like you said, it's very lonely.
Yes,
so
it is.
Where we used to go into the morning meeting and you pitch this story and you get everybody's feedback and then you go out and you do the thing. When you're an entrepreneur, a lot of times, and just starting out, you don't have that team to bounce ideas off of.
That's right.
And so what I've learned is when I can't control the outside circumstances, what I can control is this up here.
Exactly.
And if I shift this to what I have versus what I don't have, it works every single time.
That is powerful.
Even in those low moments, you look around and think about the good that you do have. And a lot of times, even as entrepreneurs, we get out there, we've done it, we have those hard days. But even on those hard days, if you can just remind yourself, you're operating inside of an answered prayer.
Oh, that's
or
so
inside
true.
of the thing that you wanted. Like when you were working that corporate job, you wished to become an entrepreneur, right?
That's right.
And then on that bad day, you're an entrepreneur. It's reminding yourself, wow, how far I've come. Like this might be a bad day, but I actually get to set my own schedule for the most part.
That's right.
Or you know what I mean? I get more time to spend with my family.
That is
you know
so
what
true.
I mean? So we
love that.
we have to, I believe we have to focus on shifting and finding the good.
Yes.
I know it can kind of sound, I don't know, a little bit maybe even superficial.
Right.
Oh, just find the good. But I promise it's a muscle that you'll continue to build.
It is.
That makes life better.
It's repetition. It's like anything else. You practice it every day. And I will tell you, working with entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs that have a positive mindset and that go into that every day, it makes a huge difference. It's success versus not success. I really think that.
It is. And, I get to where I like this little kid in me. I become like a daydreamer.
Yeah.
Like, what is it that I can imagine for my life? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Focusing on that good alone just gets you like, okay, I can do this thing.
Yeah.
The right people will pop up. The right things will happen, and it'll lead me to where I'm trying to go.
And you're proof of that. It's happening.
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. So I've never known you to be anything but just happy, right? I mean, you are always just cheerful, smiling, a ray of sunshine. But there is those negative things start to creep in. COVID, for one, is something I think it had everybody spiraling the wrong direction. And I still hear people talk about COVID and say, oh gosh, well, because of COVID, the economy's down and this and that, and they're still living in that thing. I'm thinking you can't still be in that. Yeah. So what do you do, like from a routine standpoint in the morning to get yourself ready to go, where you say, okay, I'm waking up and I'm going to go on the right foot? Do you have like a routine?
I absolutely do. I love that you asked this. And it may seem, again, like a little thing, but before I reach for that cell phone, which used to be a very bad habit, and some days it still is. Or anything else, I think of three things that I'm thankful for or grateful for.
Oh, that's great.
A grateful heart and a grateful mind will change your perspective on the day.
Right.
And being very intentional about your day.
Yeah.
So on the three things that I'm grateful for, like it started out, it's like, okay, 2 eyes, 2 arms. You know what I mean? Like that's 4 things. But once you start doing it, you start thinking more and more, and it leads you to thinking and searching and finding the good before your day even gets started.
Yep.
I mean, you know how it is. Like if you're already running late and something goes wrong, you feel like, oh gosh, the next thing's going to, and the next thing's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
But if you start out good, and you keep going in that direction, it's life. Bad things happen. Like, I get it. But if we keep just trying to just see the good in it, I promise it leads us to a better life.
I love that. That's so good.
Three things you're grateful for.
Yeah, I love it.
Do it.
So
you're gonna love it.
You went from television, we both had that experience, to online platform. Yeah. Right? So talk about that, because I know I did the same. I didn't want to be in an industry that was dying. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And people are going online for news, weather, entertainment. So talk about the shift of where you decided, instead of going to get another TV job, I'm going to do something online.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say TV feels like, it's where I grew up. So it's like I still have a heart for TV, which is why I went back and do the show on TV. But also, I really feel like you have to go to where people are, right? I say I want to live in my purpose by using my God-given talents to serve others. Yeah. if I serve them on TV, great. But if they're online, I want to be there too. Right. If I can get the messaging out there and that's where I meet my people, that's what I'm about doing.
Yeah.
And change is sometimes hard.
Yeah.
When I went from TV to trying to do something online, it was like, oh my gosh. But the growth happens outside of our comfort zones.
That's so true.
I had to get outside of my comfort zone and at least try it.
That is
and
so
what
true.
I found is I've grown so much and I'm so thankful for that growth now.
Well, and I would say the other thing, let's just say local television, it's Northeast Oklahoma, for in our instance. Well, online you can reach thousands of people all over the world. We actually had a client from Fiji, and I would have never gotten a client from Fiji, but LinkedIn was, networking on LinkedIn, and I had someone reach out, and we started doing this Pure Fiji, which was this great skincare product. And we would have never had a client in Fiji, but that's the beauty of online is you can really have your network be expanded so far. And I know you've met a lot of people. We're going to talk about the tour coming up.
Yeah.
You've got people from all over.
Yeah,
it makes the world opens up so much more if you utilize it.
It's so true. I mean, you talked about the pandemic and, it was a lot of negativity. We're at home. It's a new normal. I mean, all the things. I met so many people online. I decided in that moment, and I had moments of where I would just cry. I'm like, gosh, so many things are going on. Socially, it just was such a bad time. And my heart hurts for people, which is one of the reasons why news probably was never for me either. Because I'm the girl crying with everybody. And I would find ways to get the happy back during those times. And I would connect with people on Instagram. Just go and send them a DM. You know what I mean? And say, hey, I'm writing a children. That's how I found my illustrator. And she lives in Argentina.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The world is so accessible if we just go after it, right?
It's so true. And online does give you the ability.
It gives you the ability to connect.
It's easier to become an entrepreneur today because you just need a laptop and create an online business versus a brick and mortar and all of that. So it's also affordable.
Yeah, and the pandemic taught us to do things remotely as well. You know what I mean? I'm doing so many things via Zoom, like even the TV segments that I do. We were just doing them through Zoom.
That's right.
And it was great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
So,
it's instant and it's great.
Change.
So speaking of TV, because I know you spent years doing that and you're a great mentor to people, what would be your number one piece of advice for that young reporter out there that is in that TV job? They're working 12-hour days. We call it a one-man band, right? The reporter's going out. They have the camera. They're doing the story. They're editing. They're doing everything, which is crazy because the industry has changed. What's your advice for them?
I actually mentor a lot of journalists who are going through it right now. And I know that they want to probably pinch me or punch me or something, but I'm like, but we have to embrace the hard.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Because the hard, the magic is on the other side of that hard. And I can tell them that because I went through the hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some people can say, oh, hard's good. No, what were you going to...
Well, and you're here today because of that. If you hadn't done that, you wouldn't be here today.
There's no way.
Right.
There's no way. So, and we can do hard things. We prove that to ourselves all of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And like we were saying earlier, two, you have to love it.
Right.
News is not something that you just get into. And people think it's very glamorous.
Yeah.
And there are parts that are.
Right.
But it is a lot of work. And
it's a lot of work.
especially for people who are doing it right now.
Right.
Because you are doing the jobs of 5 different people to get a product on the air.
That's right.
So you have to love it. But get through the hard.
Right.
Because then it gets easier. It's that
That's true.
building down that muscle again. Because when I think about when I first started, how hard it was to anchor. I mean, I used to read prompter like this. Like go back and forth. They're like, Mia, you have to keep your, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I got through those parts and where we are today, right? It's all a learning process. If they can just stick with it and remember, again, you applied for that reporting job.
That's right.
So let's be happy in that answered prayer, even on those hard days, if you can find the good moments.
That's
and if you can remember why you're there and what you're trying to go to, it gets you through.
Very true. And experience is power. Once you have experience, you can go out and get that next job.
Start your own production company.
You're right. You're right. So that's
think
great.
outside the box, right?
So, okay. So hello, good life with Mia.
Yeah.
I want to know about that. I saw a glimpse on social media and I got so excited because I was like, speaking of news, I mean, you turn on the news and it's a lot of times, there's a fire, there's a murder, there's a robbery, there's all these things where it seems depressing, but there's a lot of good stories out there too. And so tell me about Hello Good Life with Mia.
Yeah. So Hello Good Life with Mia is a lifestyle brand that I created. For myself, but also, like I told you earlier, I really want to serve others.
Yeah.
And I remember getting the compliment a lot when I would do news. You see people in the grocery store, and they're like, I feel like I know you. Yeah. That is the best compliment ever, right? Because that's what I always wanted, was to connect with my audience. This is that opportunity to do that. When I think about what my God-given talents are, I feel like I was put on this earth to make people feel seen and feel heard and realize the worth that they 100%. Have in them. And that's sometimes you just need to be reminded of that.
Right.
It took me all these years to realize that's what it was when people would say, you have it, or like, what is it? What does that mean? I think I'm finally getting... That's what I love to do. And now I get to mix that with the other thing that I love to do, TV and
perfect.
Events and that sort of thing. And so Hello Good Life is about, doing the TV segments that are reminding people to live life to the fullest. I dare myself to do these adventures. And the reason why I say dare is I'm not an adventurous person.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw you were like skydiving.
Yeah. Indoor skydiving. Let's clarify. My mom will be like, no, but I was not an adventurous person. And I will tell you, during the pandemic, right before, my husband has been to South Africa twice and he studied at Oxford and all of these things. And I was always afraid to do it.
Right.
It was right before the pandemic. I said, this is the year I'm traveling. I'm going to Africa. And the pandemic happened. So it was in the pandemic that I said, I have to live life to the fullest.
That's right.
We never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I thought of this idea and I said, I'm going to do a show where it's a play on bucket list. Bucket list felt a little too morbid at the time. So I said, I'm going to call it my good life list. Not about what you're doing before you kick the bucket, but what you're doing to live life to the fullest.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be indoor skydiving. It could be learning a new recipe or going to a festival and learning about a different culture, but just growing a little bit, right?
Yes, that's awesome.
And so in that, it changed my perspective on so many things. Yeah. Sorry, I get going. We're talking about all the things.
It's perfect. And that brand fits you perfect. And we do a lot of coaching with personal branding. You live that brand. You are that person that walks in and you see the good in everybody. You bring the cheer. I mean, that really is you. So it's perfect branding.
I love it. And I named it Hello Good Life because it's like greeting the person. Like you want to look at your life and say, hello, good life. You know what I mean? Like it's all in the intention.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
And the way we greet our day, the way we start our day, the way we think about our lives is what shows up in our lives.
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to talk about the tour and learn more about that. So let's talk about confidence, because you talked about confidence earlier. You have to have confidence to go out and start a business and do your thing. You have to have confidence to get on the air, but I'm sure you weren't always confident, right? Everybody has those fears that say, I mean, I train people to be on camera, to, do podcasts and all of that. And then here I am on a podcast going, what? I'm scared. Yeah. Well, what do I look like? All those things run through your mind because that's just natural. So how do you have that natural confidence?
I don't. Just what you're saying. Okay. I didn't have the confidence when I first went on air. And sometimes I still don't. I mean, if you remember, I called you a couple of months ago. I got invited to moderate this panel that was huge. And it was on marketing. I was like, Deidre, you know what I mean? Because imposter syndrome snuck in. And I was like, should I do it?
Yeah.
But I think when we talk about mindset shift, it's shifting your mindset to you're worthy.
Yes.
When you realize the worthiness that you bring and that you're worthy of these experiences and these opportunities that come, it just shifts you into kind of the fake it till you make it. I know some people hate that.
No, I mean,
in the news business, they say that a lot, but sometimes you do. You have to just go ahead and jump.
Project it.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
I say cliff jumping. I cliff jumped into the good life, right? I left this successful news career, everything that I'd worked so hard for. Yeah. And how hard. I begged for the show and did all of the things. This was my first job in TV. Yeah. Like I had no experience. That was unheard of to start in this market.
Right.
But when you do that, Yeah. What do they say? Jump and the net will appear.
Well,
it's that kind of thing.
And I think it also makes you have that fire underneath you. When
Absolutely.
you know it's do or die, like I don't have that security of that job anymore. That paycheck's not coming every 2 weeks. Even if it's only the 3%, it was something.
Scary. Yes.
Right? You didn't have that. So you go on your own. And I think the right person, the person that becomes an entrepreneur, that it is for you and it's in your blood to do that, is they need that fire. I've seen more people excel because they're like, I'm in a do or die situation. I've got to fight.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's a great place to be in to get you where you need to go and put that fire underneath you. So, I love that because you seem like someone that would always just have been a confident person. But I think everybody has those moments.
Absolutely.
It creeps in and you have to just overcome and say, I'm doing it. I'm put here for a reason. They called me for a reason to be on this.
Give yourself that pep talk.
Right.
Again, it can seem like, you're going to give yourself a pep talk, but it so works.
Yes.
Put on that favorite playlist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever it
I
takes to get in that moment. And I call it your genuine moments as well, right? Because you want to show up authentically as yourself.
Right.
That's huge for me.
That is huge.
When you hear fake it till you make it, sometimes it's, about people but just show up as yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? No matter who's in the room. I was sitting on the stage with people who build multi-million-dollar business. I'm just Mia from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
But I just showed up as her. And guess what?
It worked. It worked.
And now I've gotten other engagements from that.
I love that. Well, let's talk mentors. Because I know I wouldn't be where I am without mentors. Is there a mentor that's been in your life that stood out that you're like, you know what? I have that person to lean on. If I didn't have that, I don't know if I'd be here.
Absolutely. I mean, countless mentors. I'm looking at one right now.
Oh, you're
seriously.
So sweet. Yeah.
I told the story about you running in the newsroom, but you did that for me so many times during my career. And even after I left news, you're the first person I reach out to anytime I'm making a decision on the next thing to do, honestly. And so to be invited on your podcast, I said it earlier that I'm honored, but I truly am because what you poured into me helped to get me here. And I don't forget that. And I don't take that lightly. And it's why I try to pay it back every single chance I get. So when I get those ones from the newsroom who are like, how did you end up leaving news and getting your own show? I'm like, listen, it didn't happen overnight.
Right.
Because that's the thing social media does to us, right? It makes us think everybody's an overnight success. It took a lot of years. We won't get into how many.
No, I know.
It takes a lot to get there, right? But for me, mentors are a huge part of your success.
Yes,
and for people who say they did it on their own, it can't be. No, it just can't be.
Yeah.
And what I will say at this point in my journey is when you reach out to mentors, I would say make it as much as you can mutually beneficial.
Right.
Even when I reached out to you a couple of months ago, because social media allows us to think we know everybody, we have access to everybody, and it's true. You can reach out to this person who you admire, and you're like, will you be my mentor? Well, they're at that level for a reason. And like we were saying, they may not have time to chat with you over coffee, but if you can find out a way where it can be mutually beneficial, you may just get that mentor of your dreams. And even if you can't, the mentor that you have is the one that you need.
That's so true.
And look for that person who can help maybe solve a problem. Don't go into a mentorship just because you admire that person. Be very specific in the ask, right? Because they don't have a lot of time. And you need to be very specific in what it is that you're trying to get to. It's
not hours and hours. It's like, hey, can I have 15 minutes of your time on a phone call?
Absolutely.
This is what my question is. You brought up something. I had a college student that I was mentoring and working with that asked me, we got through the session, they were trying to figure out, I was friends with their parents and they were trying to figure out what the next step is, graduating college, I don't know what I want to do, trying to figure it all out. And at the end of the conversation, he looked at me and he said, what can I do for you? And I thought, well, what can you do for me? Like,
does that make you
even said that? And we're thinking that, there's probably
you want to help them another 5 years, right?
Exactly. That's exactly my point.
That's it.
Even just having that gratitude and saying that was so great. So
absolutely.
I love that. Well, what is something that you would tell your younger self if you had to go back to Mia that was on the assignment desk? What is one piece? Yeah, exactly. What is one piece of advice that you would tell your younger self?
That's such a good question. And I think it would be don't wait.
That's
so
great.
many times I feel like I waited for things to be perfect.
Yeah.
No such thing, right? I'm embracing now the perfectly imperfect.
Right.
Let me wait until these things are in place.
So true.
Like, why?
Right.
If it's anything the pandemic taught us, it's like, we've
Now.
got to live this life. We
That's
don't
right.
know what's coming, right?
Yes, so true.
It would be, don't wait. And it's hard because while I go after things full speed ahead,
Right.
there were so many times where I let lack of confidence, lack of feeling like things were in place, keep me from doing what I should have been doing a lot sooner.
That makes
probably.
sense. Kind of just following your gut and saying, okay, I'm going for it.
Yeah, self-doubt.
Yeah.
Self-doubt kept me from doing a lot of the things that I wanted to do.
It's a powerful thing, and it can definitely overcome. But you talking about the mindset shift, I think keep going back to that. That's something that I truly think makes or breaks an entrepreneur.
It's
if
so
you
true.
can shift, because you will have bad days. You will have times where you're like, I don't know if I can pay my bills. I don't know if this is going to happen. I should probably quit and run and go find a job. Right?
Absolutely.
So having that shift of, no, instead of focusing on that, I'm going to focus, what can I do today to move the needle? How can I overcome just today? What are the 3 things I can do? Which is so important.
Yeah.
So, okay, 5 years down the road, what is Mia doing?
So I feel like Hello Good Life with Mia will be this lifestyle brand where we are really making an impact on hundreds of thousands of people and inspiring them to live their life to the fullest, whether it's the content, the TV segments that are inspiring them to dare to live life to the fullest, or it's the products that we're giving them, things that they wear so they can wear those positive affirmations or remind themselves how good life is, or it's the resources and the tools that we're giving them with online courses, or it's the community that's built. Community is so huge. It's just like working out, right?
It is.
Like if you have that workout partner, there's accountability.
That's right.
You have like-minded people who get what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
And in that community of Hello Good Life, I want it to be people who are at all different levels of expertise, right? Whether you're looking for a mentor, you're looking for a coach in a particular area, you need somebody to help with branding, whatever it is, there is this community of like-minded people who get it and who want to help you and who want to see you succeed.
You will do this.
Remind you of your worthiness.
You will definitely do this.
Absolutely.
5 years from now, I can't wait to see it. I think it's going to be before 5 years from now. So, you know. Well, I want to
talk to God's ears.
I want to talk about your book before. I know we're getting close on time.
Okay.
But you're an author of I'm Proud to Be Me. So talk about this. What inspired the book? And just share a little bit about it.
Yeah. Okay. So you can totally give me the big rap because I get really passionate.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
So, I always loved children's books. I would collect them even in college.
Yeah.
Adult life. I don't know what it was. I don't know if the characters.
It's so cute.
I made this velvety because
adorable.
I just love the feel.
Too cute.
I just love a children's book. And I'd always wanted to write one. But the push was when I dealt with infertility. I dealt with infertility for almost 10 years.
Oh, goodness.
IVF, all the things, all the ups, all the downs. And I realized, how am I going to get back to happy, joyful Mia?
Right.
Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
And there are moments for people dealing with infertility or really serious issues where you need more than to switch the mindset shift.
Yes.
You need the therapist. You need all that.
Right.
You need professional help. So I don't want to belittle anything anyone is going through at all. But I finally got to a place where I was like, okay, I can now bring myself and get back to joyful, happy Mia. And what I did is decided to be creative. And so I poured my heart and soul into this book. And I said, if this is the only way, I named my babies before I got it. So Zoe and Solly. And I said, if this is the only way I get Zoe and Solly out into the world, that's it for me. So I wrote the book as though I'm the mom telling my little Zoe and Solly the good things. And of course, my fur babies are in the book. My real life fur babies are in the book. Dogs are just a godsend. Who got me through so much. So I included them in the book. And it's really just my way to nurture all of these other kids. And Deidre, when I tell you, I get a video from a kid who opens up the book and they're screaming like they won the lottery over this book. That blesses me more than I ever thought that I would be by writing a children's book. I wrote it to kind of help me heal, but it's helped me in ways that I could not have even imagined.
I love that story. That's amazing. Good for you. Where can we find this book?
The book is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. We're also in Walmart. And even that, who knew? I found,
you
like
have
I said
a book
earlier.
in Walmart. I mean, That's
like
amazing.
to walk in Barnes and Noble and like see your book there. I could cry and for what it means for other women who are going through things or people in general, because it doesn't have to be infertility. We all face those sad times or those bad times in life. And if you can just find that little piece of happy and some way to serve somebody else. One of my favorite quotes is, you find yourself by losing yourself in the service of others. Not my quote,
that's
Gandhi,
amazing.
but I love that because it's true. When you start serving other people, you forget about it being about you.
That's right.
It's about what you can do for them.
Right.
And
exactly.
in that process, you end up being blessed. Like,
that's
how amazing
so great.
Is that?
That's amazing. Well, Good Life Tour. So I can't wait. Tell us where you're going to be, in what places. Cities, how do we find out about it?
And I got the idea.
Okay, cute hats. Look at this branding. How cute is this? Hello, Good Life.
We're going Hello, Good Life. We're going on tour. So it was about taking the show that we've been doing, that I've been doing, and giving real life experiences.
Yeah.
So in these different cities, we're doing different adventures, whether it is cycling or cake baking.
Fun.
We made vegan donuts in New York, but we're going to New York, Atlanta, LA. Am I forgetting anybody? And of course, Tulsa. Yes. Okay, so gotta end here. And it really is just about cultivating that community, giving people those reminders to look for the good daily in their life. So even if it's just that experience, what I found, and when I became an entrepreneur and going to these different conferences and things, you get so excited in the conference, right? It's a great experience. And then you go back home.
Right.
And you're like, wait,
nothing's
what happened?
You forget.
I need my people. So what I really want to do is give you that experience, but I want to give you the tools that you need after the event is over. After you've gone and experienced it in real life, I want to give you all the things so that we can be a support to you.
And creating community. You're going to be going to these cities with like-minded people coming together.
Absolutely.
I mean, social media is a great way to do that. And
absolutely.
I love that.
And it's already working. I mean, and it surprises me, right?
Yeah.
Because you do something that's on your heart and then you get it out there and people respond to it and you're like, oh, they're responding.
Yes.
Like it's really happening.
It's so great.
And it's such a fulfilling feeling.
You have found your calling. I think you're living it out. It's perfect for you.
And I want it for every single person. Yeah.
Well, you're paving the way, right? For those before that come after you. So I love that. Well, thank you so much for showing up today and doing this. It's such a joy. And we live in the same town and I haven't seen you in forever.
I know. How does that happen?
I know. I've missed catching up. And so I'm glad we got to do it here.
Absolutely.
And real quick, if the tour.
Yes.
Where do we find out? What's the website to go to find out the cities?
Absolutely. You can go to Hello Good Life with Mia.
Okay.
And hellogoodlifewithmia.com, I should say. And everything's there. You can sign up and we will send you all the emails, give you all the information as it's coming in. And I love to give people stuff. You know, my thing is to give back and to give to people. So there's going to be tons of freebies in your emails. I won't give you a ton of emails because I know everybody's like, I don't need any more emails.
Stuff.
But you're going to look forward to these emails. Yeah. So I'm excited about it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait. I will definitely be there for the Tulsa one.
Before we go,
let me know.
can I ask you?
Yeah.
Because,
Okay, ask me.
On the tour,
Okay.
I love Oprah. You know, I mentioned that. So
I love Oprah too.
So I believe love is in the details, right?
Okay.
And so on this tour, we have fun things like this.
Yeah.
And I have everybody think about their word. Hello, my
nice.
Amazing good life.
Yeah.
Hello, my ambitious good life.
Yeah.
Whatever the word is, it does several things. It makes you stop and think about, what is the word for my life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So while you're thinking about that, this is the type of stuff we're going to be doing on the
love
tour.
that.
It helps you be more intentional.
Yes.
At the last one we did in Dallas, like I had a plant station.
Right.
And I gave out these cards. Like this one says, every plant has its own requirements to grow. So do people.
Oh,
so thinking about as you're nurturing your
Yes.
plant, how do you nurture yourself?
Right.
Are you drinking enough water? Are you doing
Right.
all the, you know what I
it's
mean?
so true.
It seems simple.
Yes. No, it's great.
But again, it's building on a muscle or bloom right where you're planted. Sometimes we think we
Yeah.
need all the things. But man, if
Yes.
you got a Deidre in your life, call and bug your Deidre. You know what I like?
Yeah.
Seriously, there were times after I left my
Oh, yeah.
career and I didn't know what to do.
Right.
And it was being able to call you,
Yeah.
and I was able to bloom from that.
Right.
And I thank you.
Well,
I can't thank you enough.
That's great.
Okay.
Okay. So mine. Are you asking my word?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say intent. So intentional. Being intentional every day, being present. I think those are like the two. I've done words the last couple of years, like New Year's, what's my word for the year? So intentional and present are the two that because as a busy working mom and all the things I do, being present, I want to be there in the moment with my kids, but then I want to be there at work and not be like thinking about the other thing, which is a tough thing to do.
It is because, so many people talk about balance and I feel like I want to live in harmony.
Yes.
Right? When you think about harmony, it's all the things coming together.
Yeah, so true.
Balance is like,
yep. Well, you are amazing. Thank you for coming. That wraps up another edition of the Do It My Way podcast.
Thank you.
Oh, so fun. So fun.